Hi, Sarah Pacaro. In today's video, we're going to be going through the archetypes of the emotionally traumatized, abused, and neglected. So there are 5 videos in this series. This archetype today we're going to focus on is what I call the P me. Now, all of these archetypes we work through getting to the very core and the very root of and healing from within from all of these in my past Pain to Present Power program. So if you want to join a free masterclass on that, there's a link in the description below this video to do so. So what is an archetype? You might be wondering. Well, all an archetype is, by definition, is a set of patterns of behavior. So over the years of working both one-to-one with clients and going through my past Pain to Present Power program, we work through all of these archetypes because these archetypes show up in those who've experienced neglectful, abusive, and traumatic past, specifically emotional neglect and abuse, regardless of how long you experienced it or who you experienced it from, whether it was from a parent or whether it's from a partner. So in this video today, we're going to get into what I call the P me, what that means, and the archetypes around the P me. So you may see yourself in this P me, you may see yourself a little bit, you may see yourself a lot, and more than likely you're going to see parts of yourself in all of the archetypes. But today's video is going to be focused on the P me specifically. So like I said, over the years of working with people to transform and heal from an emotionally abusive and neglectful past, I've seen these themes. They come up time and time again. So you may resonate with some of the things that we talk about in the P me, maybe at different parts of your life or at different points of your life. You're a little bit more of this or a little bit less of that, and a little bit more of one of the other archetypes. So the 5 most common archetypes that come up, we're going to get into throughout this series of videos. And this program, Transforming Past Pain to Present Power, and or working one-to-one together, or depending on what most resonates with you, are going to allow you to very, very quickly break through, transform, and heal from these parts of you that stuck in these patterns of behaviors. So as we go through this, I want you to just be thinking about your life, about your past, and how it's impacting your present and what you perceive your future to be if you don't break out of this archetype. Because a lot of people with all of these archetypes have a very difficult time truly connecting and engaging with loved ones, with friends, because fear presents. They have a fear of getting too close. They have a fear of getting too close to people because they might get hurt. So they have trouble really deeply connecting with other people because they never really feel safe in a relationship. They never feel safe to truly and deeply connect with themselves. They don't know how to start, where to start, or what they're even feeling inside anymore. So that leads to them having a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, these deep feelings of sadness and depression. It leads to people feeling extremely low self-worth, low self-esteem, lack of confidence. Even if you appear to be confident and you appear to be capable and able and you hide it really well, we're going to get into that archetype later. That's that mask that you wear that I call the F me. Today's video is going to be about the P me. And you more than likely get into these states where you just feel withdrawn, you feel unable or are unable, for really, really difficult time making decisions, maintaining friendships, healthy relationships, because you have this deeply rooted sense of distrust of others because it's others who've hurt you in the past. And this may lead to you feeling hypervigilant, feeling persistent and consistent fear, even though you know logically there's nothing to be afraid of and everything's going to be okay. You still feel that inner persistence of fear. You feel that deeply rooted shame and guilt. You engage in self-harming behaviors, self-hatred, self-blame. You do things you know you shouldn't do that lead to things that you don't want to have, like maybe eating disorders, exercise disorders, abusing food, abusing substances, abusing alcohol, difficulty and trouble sleeping or staying asleep. Excuse me, being uncomfortable with physical contact with other people, perhaps that feels unsafe now. And all of these things lead you feeling stuck and afraid and leave you feeling and believing that you'll never be able to move forward and have that life that you've always dreamed of having, because now you feel stuck and you feel afraid and you feel unable to establish and maintain healthy boundaries And that results in continuing perhaps to be around toxic people and situations that you'd rather not be in, but not knowing how to get out of them or how to stand up for yourself without feeling bad or guilty or being used, abused, and taken advantage of. So now perhaps you feel like a shell of yourself or only an ounce of what you used to be or who you know you could be, feeling hopeless and feeling completely lost in the world, not knowing your place or what your purpose is. So you've got this inner dialogue of shame, guilt, and fear now, which leads to severe emotional and oftentimes physical pain as well. And it completely messes you up. Maybe hormonally, everything is out of whack, your digestive system is completely off and screwed up. And all you truly want is to heal your heart and trust your mind. You want to be able to fully breathe again. You want to be able to laugh easily, smile, and really, really mean it and not have to put in effort to get that feeling of joy and happiness. You want to feel alive. You want to feel peace. You want to feel grounded. You want to feel unbound, unchained. You want to be able to actually dream again and look forward to setting goals, look forward to the future, look forward to waking up every day and loving yourself and having hope for a positive future. You want to be able to trust yourself and break and reprogram those damaging and negative thought patterns and loops that your brain and mind get stuck in. You want to be able to find hope and strength and courage within yourself and stop gaslighting yourself. You want to get out of that survival mode, of that fear-based trauma response mode that you seem to be stuck in, and truly live a purposeful and meaningful life. Be able to make decisions without feeling sick or nauseated. You want to feel comfortable and connected and truly at home in your own body and feel safe in your body and have compassion, have grace, have forgiveness for yourself, and be able to know without a shadow of a doubt that you are worthy and you are deserving, that you are loved, you are enough. Or perhaps you're so low right now that you simply just want to feel normal and be able to function again. Regardless of where you're at, you more than likely see this P me archetype show up in your life. And we're going to get you to a place where you're completely free from it. You've broken out of these patterns, habits, and behaviors, and you're living and loving your life again. So you can be a full, complete human again so that you can truly be free. So what is the P me all about? Well, the P me stands for both the perfectionist and or the procrastinator. Maybe you're a perfectionist in some ways, and maybe you're a procrastinator in other ways. Maybe there's some things that you put off, but there are other things that you would never ever put off. So it just depends. But this P me, we're going to dive into both the perfectionist and the procrastinator, because this is an archetype that comes up from people who've experienced past emotional trauma, abuse, and neglect. So there's another video that we've got about the superhero archetype, and the perfectionist procrastinator in a lot of ways is like the superhero archetype. So just for the sake of time today, we're going to keep this video specifically focused on the P me. But if you watch that one, you're going to see some similarities as well. But the superhero doesn't necessarily have to have everything perfect all the time. And the P me is someone who either has to have it perfect or they completely put it off. So the P me takes a little bit more caution there. They've got this outer image of the superhero, the very successful one. They look perfect, they look accomplished, they look very well achieved, they look so well put together. The perfectionist is who I used to be, getting perfect grades, perfect attendance, perfect everything in an effort to feel good enough about themselves, in an effort to have recognition and validation from other people, to want to be like you, right? So if you're perfect, other people want to be like you. That makes you feel good inside, even though you feel like you're dying inside. Because even though you get 100% on everything, or in grade school you've got an A on everything, it still was never enough. And the perfectionist really, really struggles from this. Even when everything is perfect, they don't have that sense that it is. They feel like something is always off, that it always falls short, that it's never enough. So the perfectionist will have all the degrees on the wall. They will have all of the awards. They will have all of the accolades. They will receive recognition externally, that external validation at work, at their job, at their career, that they're doing an incredible job. They've worked their way up the ladder because they're perfect and they're so good at everything. And everyone can count on them to get it done, and get it done very, very well, often get it done perfectly. So they overextend themselves. But they've got the education, they've got the degrees, they've got the awards. They've got all the things that they were told that they had to have And if they thought they had, they would really be happy. So the P me has this if and then. They're the if then kind of person. If I get this degree and I make this much money and I live here and I drive this car, then I'll be happy. Then I'll feel satisfied. Then I'll feel good enough inside and about myself and my life. If I do what I'm told and everyone else loves it and I'm very good at it and it's perfect, then I'll be happy. If I get this degree, then I'll get the dream job. If I get the dream job, I'll make a lot of money. If I make a lot of money, I'll get married and we'll have, 2.5 kids, a white picket fence, and a brand new electric car in the driveway. Then we'll be complete. I'll be satisfied, truly at peace and happy. And that P me pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes themselves to always be better, always be more perfect and more better than they were the day before. The perfectionist spends so much time trying to make sure that everything is perfect. They spend an incredible amount of time double checking things, over analyzing things, making sure it's absolutely perfect and exactly the way it should be. So they spend their lives living up to very, very high and often unrealistic, unattainable, unachievable standards and expectations. And because there truly is no such thing as perfect, because perfect is about perception. Like one person says, what makes it perfect is ABC, and you say, well, actually, what makes it perfect is XYZ. There's difference in perception. And because you worked your butt off to make sure it was perfect and get it just right, another person comes along and says, no, it's not that that makes it perfect. It's that. They have a different perception and it throws you completely off. So the P me is a lot like the A type personality. They have a very hard time relaxing, a very difficult time letting loose and letting things go, even when they're in a state and a place and environment where they are able to relax. They find that they can't. They're constantly stuck in their head. They're always putting their best foot forward, and they will resist putting any foot forward unless they can be assured that it is their best, which leads to the other side of the sword, the other P, the procrastinator, because a perfectionist feels if it's not absolutely perfect, it's simply not good enough. So they find and they focus, they will laser focus on ways that it's not perfect so that they can alter it, change it, or tweak it to make it perfect. And so they're constantly focusing on the things that are not and the things that lack. So because of that, they seem very argumentative. They seem very pessimistic. They're always picking out the things that are not perfect and giving their ways that they can change it to make it perfect, even though that's not their intention. Their intention is not to be seen as nitpicky or pessimistic in any way. They often see it as, no, I'm being optimistic. I can make it better. We can do this. We can change that, and that will make it better. But other people see them as pessimistic, nitpicky, just very annoying. They're always focusing on the things that are not there instead of the things that are. Can't you just let it go? And they can't let it go because they want to improve it and they want to make it even better than it already is. And they always have an idea or suggestion or way to how that can be done. So other people's opinions weigh very heavily on the P me. The P me is very sensitive to criticism and feedback. However, they thrive off of that feedback because they want that external validation that it's good enough, that it is perfect, despite fearing getting it, because what if it's not? So that very thing that they thrive off of, they fear getting. So there's this internal battle and conflict that's happening within the PME's mind. So the perfection is always over analyzing and reflecting back on the ways it could have been better, the ways that they could have improved it, the things that they should have done if they had had, you name it. So they want to know that their work is perfect, that what they produce is perfect. So they're always living to prove that to everyone else and receive that external validation. And even though they do produce, and they produce quite well, and they produce a lot, they produce from fear. So they have this intense fear and anxiety around putting their work out there. And they're always seeing those little things that are not quite right, not good enough. They work from a place of fear. They feel the panic, they feel the fear, the anxiety as this internal pressure, specifically when it comes towards deadlines, and feel intensely that fight flight response kick in when it's time, it's go time. And once it's time, because they feel that fight flight response kick in, they often will check out. When that kicks in, they check out. They'll disassociate. They often have this out of body experience. They'll space out. They'll experience this loss of time, not being there, not being able to recall what it was that they were doing when it was go time. So they will stand up. They'll be there. They'll be hyper focused. They'll be overworking things. They'll be triple checking their work, and they shut down everything else around them. They get just tunnel vision, and they get this focus, hyper focus on this. So they're there, but they're not there because they're completely like disregarding, neglecting everything else. And it feels like throwing in the towel. They throw away everything else so that they can focus on this one thing. And if that thing that they're focusing on working on is not perfect, is not good enough, they oftentimes won't make adjustments or changes. They'll throw it all completely out. They'll throw it out and they'll start over completely from scratch. So in this, they get very overworked. They go into overdrive. They go into exhaustion, adrenal fatigue very, very easily. So the PME is the kind of person that will throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Instead of making adjustments or changes, it's all ruined, it's all garbage, it's all got to go. It needs to be perfect, and this isn't, so just get rid of it all. So just before or after, say they need to do something, a deadline or something, they oftentimes will get physically sick or physically ill, and they'll unconsciously create this illness and sometimes push through it and do as good of a job as they can, or they'll feel relieved that they can't do it because they don't want to do it unless it is perfect. And with that, they feel so much guilt. They feel so much dread at the same time. So this can present as panic attacks, anxiety attacks, OCD-like behaviors. They often question and joke about having OCD. Oh, it's just my OCD. And their disassociation and disconnection presents oftentimes as anger and rage over it not being perfect. That gets projected onto the people that are closest to them, onto undeserving and innocent loved ones who are just happening to be in the line of fire, because they're so hyper focused on getting it perfect, getting it right, and making sure that it is. So think about like Bridezilla on her wedding day. Everything has to be perfect, otherwise everyone's gonna feel it and know about it and hear hear from him. So on the other hand, the P me, which is the procrastinator me, that's the type of person who will put everything off. And remember, these are coming from emotionally traumatic, abusive, and neglectful past and experiences. They will put everything off and they'll work on some things, but they'll often never see them through to completion. They have these incredible, wonderful ideas, but they don't follow through with completing them or really implementing them because of fear. Again, all of these archetypes are deeply rooted in fear, guilt, shame. So this perfectionist me has tons of half-finished projects and lots of great ideas and lots of want tos and ideas, and they love sharing those ideas because it's super fun to do that. But they think, well, if I don't have time to finish it now, why even get started? Why even bother? So they become obsessed with thinking about it, with thinking about getting it done and what they would do with it if it was done, and the ways that they would take it and carry it and all of the incredible, wonderful things that would happen, but they never actually follow through to completion or never even start. So they carry around that weight and the energy of all of that in their body. They often feel it in the pit of their stomach. They feel this heaviness in their shoulders because they're carrying around the weight of the energy of wanting to do all of these incredible things, but never seeing them through to completion or never beginning them. So they want so badly. It's like they just desire to take action towards getting or achieving that thing that they want and all of those ideas, but they really only want it if it can be perfect and if everything's going to go according to plan. And they fear if they won't, then they're not even going to start. And the PME often has a million excuses and reasons why they can't. And they cling on to those excuses and reasons for dear life, like they're a safety wrap for them, like a life-saving device. And they want to let go of that and just go do it more than anything. But they feel, believe, and tell themselves that they can't because. And there's that reason and excuse that comes in to strengthen that and cause that feeling, that disconnect inside of them. So the P me, the procrastinator side, is what I call the excuse king or queen. I can't because I wish I could, but if it weren't for this, then. And they rattle off forever talking about how they can't or how much time it would take them, when if they were to just do it, it would actually take them less time to just do that thing than the time that they spend talking about not being able to do it. So you'll hear the P me, procrastinator me, often say things like, well, it's just that, and I'm so busy, someday. And they're so busy. They really are busy. They keep themselves busy so that they can avoid actually having time to do the things they really want to do. They're busy doing tons of meaningless stuff to avoid and distract, which is a coping mechanism. And so they do have valid excuses to procrastinate because of their fear of failing or it not being perfect. So that is what happens in the PME's mind. It feels better to them to just put it off, or they'll say that, but it actually feels worse and it eats them up inside. With there's a laundry list of all these things that they put off and haven't started or haven't completed because they're not perfect, because of that fear. So that list is huge, it's long, and all of the reasons to go with why they can't actually tackle it are just as great. They have this fear of failure, this deeply rooted core sense of fear of failure, and that fear of failure has become their identity, that I'm a failure, and they don't like that feeling. They have this fear of it not being good enough. And again, that's transpired to their identity. I'm not good enough. And so that fear about the completed project, it being rejected or not being accepted, no one else liking it, even if they do, that's not good enough. They need other people to like it because they don't want to feel that they're not enough or that they're a failure. They don't want to feel worse than they already do. So they delay beginning projects or completing projects because that not being good enough makes them feel even worse. So they just put it off and just say, it's too much. And they do this with anything from small projects around the house, like just cleaning up a room, to big projects. So the P me is highly, highly driven by an internal fear. And it's the fear of failure, and the fear that not just they will fail, that I am a failure, and the fear of letting down. I'm going to let others down. The fear and the belief I am a letdown, and the fear of getting hurt. And they live their lives trying to avoid all that because it already hurts and they don't want it to hurt anymore. They have a core belief that they're not good enough and that something is wrong with them, that they are a failure. And they need lots and lots of reassurance despite how much they already get, that it is enough. And even with all of that, they never truly feel like it is. So those are the different behaviors, thoughts, and patterns of the P me. And like I said, in our Transforming Past Pain to Present Power, we work through all 5 of these archetypes. This video today just highlighted the P me archetype of the emotionally abused, neglected, and traumatized. So if you're ready to work through all of these or want to know more information about the others, check out the other videos. And if you're really ready to work one-to-one together, that's also an option as well. But until then, I hope this video gives you more information about the PME archetype and gives you faith, hope, and trust that you don't have to live this way for much longer. All right, guys, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, reach out to me through my website and we will connect there. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.